Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipschitz, a senior producer at Lee and co-host of the program with the star of our Blockbuster sequel, Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal and longtime entertainment reporter. Bruce, we exploded a couple weeks ago, with 6 movies to watch, but there's a lot more than 6 movies coming out this summer, so we just had to do more.
Can I tell you, you have a career as a publicist. You could really sell anything, right?
Yes, I can.
You make me sound good. Well, that's like, good luck. We're here.
Star of the show.
Here he is. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for your dining and entertaining pleasure, please welcome one of those,
Welcome.
Right? But there are, Memorial Day is usually the start of the big summer movie season. And I think I mentioned this before on the podcast, is it really didn't start until Jaws. Jaws was the one that kicked off the blockbuster, the concept of the blockbuster. And after that, in 1975, it became this thing that you needed to have big films during the summer that would draw crowds in. In the old days, it was because you got air conditioning. People wanted to come to air conditioning. But this is a good way to park kids, too. If you don't want to mess with kids and you don't have to worry about them, shove them to the theaters. They can watch this, and as long as it's under PG-13, you're good. It's a way to get out of the house during the hot months of the year.
I mean, most of these movies are not going to win an Oscar. I mean, you might get one or two here or there.
Effects. That's it.
Yeah. Explosions, big bangs.
Well, over the Memorial Day weekend, you will see Fast X or Fast 10, whichever you prefer to call it, as kind of the one that's going to thump a lot of things. Because, Fast and Furious, all they need to do is show up for a party. They could film the party and they would still get $1 billion.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to skip over that list of 6 that we did a couple weeks ago. A link to that episode is in the show notes. So if there's a movie that we pass over here, you're like, why didn't they talk about Indiana Jones? Well, we talked about it already. So no Indiana Jones. We that was in our list of 6 that you must see. But we're going to kind of come back now. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it's already out. So that was kind of the start of this summer's, and is doing very well.
It's not bad. But it is one of those ones that if you're starting with 3, you won't know where you are. So you just have to kind of go with it, enjoy the moment, enjoy the story, and then go back and catch up.
All right. Well, I haven't seen 1 or 2, and to be honest with you,
I'm lost. You will be
I'll be so lost. Is Deadpool in it? I mean, that's like the only.
There are new characters. There are new characters, and Groot is this kind of tree that Vin Diesel is the voice of. I am Groot, but that's all he says. I am Groot. So you say, how are you doing today? I am Groot. And it's just different inflections that he uses. But in earlier editions, this is your spoiler alert, he had to be regenerated. So he's a little baby Groot. And now he's back to being full-size Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I am Groot.
So Vin Diesel is Groot, and he just says that, and he probably gets paid $20 million.
Can you believe it? We are in the wrong business. All we had to do was say one line, and I didn't even need to memorize it. And, and you get big bucks. And he's a breakout character. That's one you want. But the movie belongs to Rocket the Raccoon, and that's played by Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
Or voiced by Bradley Cooper. Getting a little raccoon suit and pretend like he's one. But and he's good, and it's his story. And then you see what happens to him in the course of this. Well, the other Guardians try to help him through his crisis.
The other movie that, and we touched on this a little bit, that I'm kind of excited for is either Fast X or Fast 10, whatever you want to call it, which is the penultimate installment to the series, which has been going on for eons now. I was at the Super Mario Brothers movie with one of my daughters a couple weeks ago, and during the trailers, they had a trailer for Fast X, and my daughter's looking at it, and she seems kind of like mildly interested, like, that might be interesting to see, but probably not. And I said to her, I'm like, okay, see, this is a series of movies that Dad likes to watch, but it's completely ridiculous now. It's like completely jumped the shark. Because originally it was just like an FBI
He
agent
races.
go right, he's going after a bunch of bad guys who are like racing cars and stealing things. And now they're sending cars into outer space. It's completely ridiculous. But every episode they add somebody else in, another action star. This time it's Jason Momoa. We're adding some legitimacy with some Oscar winners with Rita Moreno and Brie Larson. So we're this is an Oscar movie, right? Is that what we're gonna see here?
It's high toned, right? Yeah, but count the lines that some of these actors get. They barely speak. It's all action. And I
Yeah.
swear they work a week. They probably go in a week, record whatever they need, and then everything is created around them. Because all those car chases, they aren't actually racing those cars. They're done in special effects. And so, unless you have a director who comes out and says, no, we really did do this, it's special effects. And if you stay at the end of the movie, where it must be 2 hours of just the list of credits, you know that somebody else is drawing those cars.
Yeah, the real stars of the show are sitting in a climate controlled computer room, probably with carpal
Being at
tunnels from all
home.
all the hand movements they're going through to try to do that stuff. Another movie that's coming out May 26th, The Little Mermaid. Now this is the live action version of it. You have
Yeah,
Halle Bailey as Ariel, Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. Have you seen it, or what are your thoughts
I'm
on
on the
this?
fence about it because I know that people have raved and said, oh, it's just wonderful and it's great. I don't like taking an animated film and turning it into a live action. I really don't. They've done it with Lion King, Jungle Book, you name it, Disney. If they've made an animated one, get ready because they're coming out with a live action one pretty soon because it's another way to make money. They've added some songs. Lin-Manuel Miranda is writing some stuff for this. He grew up with the original Little Mermaid, loved the Little Mermaid, but I don't know. When you look at Flounder and Sebastian, scary if you ask me. Now the Little Mermaid, she could be great, but I don't know that it needed to be done, and time will tell. We'll see what happens with this.
I saw the live action of The Lion King. We went to a drive-in theater actually and saw that a few years ago when it came out. It was okay. I didn't see the point of doing it other than Disney was just looking at a new avenue to make money. Mulan, which was I think that went pretty much straight to Disney Plus, or they did. It was during, I think, during the pandemic, and
Yeah,
they tried to get you to buy it first, and then that didn't quite work. So then they just released on Disney Plus. It's become a running joke in my house because we watched it on New Year's Eve that year, and my wife says to me, "It's like I fell asleep in it like right after that scene with the chicken," and then I said to her, "There was a chicken." Because I fell asleep before the chicken,
familiar.
and the chicken was like 2 minutes into the movie, I guess. So it's like the credits rolled, the movie hit the screen, and then I was out cold. I have no recollection of that film whatsoever.
But you notice how sometimes a movie is a good nap.
Yeah.
Boy, I can go to the theater and it's like, and I'm out. And maybe it's just the atmosphere. You're in a soft chair, the lights are out, you have
Mhm.
somebody talking in the background, but you don't really pay attention. That's what it could be. But I think the jury is out on The Little Mermaid. I don't think that
Yeah.
we have a verdict yet.
Another one that's coming out shortly after that, and I'm kind of kicking myself. I feel like I need to go and see it because it's one that I probably meant to watch initially, and I just for whatever missed it. Was the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse was the first one, and it won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. It was wonderful because it doesn't have a Spider-Man like you think, and there are so
Mhm.
many other elements to it. I watched it on a plane, and I thought, well, this is one I haven't seen. Let's catch up. And I was disappointed that I hadn't seen it in the theater because it is good. It is really well done. The storytelling is wonderful, and I have every confidence that because the same people are involved, this one's going to be good too.
Yeah, I have to go back and watch that because and we've talked about this before. I'm not a huge comic book person, with a few exceptions, a little bit of Batman, a little bit of Superman, and I do like, some of the Spider-Man movies, but just for whatever reason that kind of came out, I meant to see it and I just didn't. So I'm gonna try to get back and watch the original, and then maybe even get to the theater this summer and check out that one.
When they get to some of those Marvel superheroes, like Doctor Strange, oh, pass. I do not need some of those ones in my life. And I think they need to be a little more discriminatory in what they're bringing out. Because honestly, they just don't throw everything at us. It's the same story, basically. They're just wearing goofier costumes. But this is a good way of taking a tried thing and really flipping it, because there are many Spider-Verses. And I think the last Spider-Man film learned a lot from the first animated version of this.
So now the next film on my list, I've not seen
You
any
want to
of
see
the
this? I am disowning you. This is
Transformers.
I can't stand those films. I hate those films.
Rise of the Beast, June 9th. I have a confession to make. Not that this is, you'll probably respect me more. I have never seen any of those Transformers movies. I flipped one on one time. It was on maybe HBO or Showtime. It was, long past the theaters, and I flipped it on briefly. And I think it was on for about 30 seconds, and I went, nope, and clicked it off. It was just so bad.
I mean, I see the concept. It was based on a toy, and the toy was, you could turn a toy into like a big robot is what it amounted. It was like a car. It's like a Rubik's Cube. You kind of move a little bit, and then it becomes something else. But what's the story? Well, there is
none.
No.
Right.
It's just the thing turning into whatever. Optimus Prime was the king of all of that. And frankly, I do not care what happens to Optimus or any of his friends. And I thought that once we hit the scrap heap, we were done with them. But apparently not, because they're back.
Well, they obviously make money if they keep making them.
We know nothing. It's huge. You probably need to go back and do all this and see all those, and you'll say, oh, I really think I need to see more of that.
I'm going to completely skip that one. But it'll probably make a ton of money. Is that going to be one where it'll make like $100 million the first week, but then lose 75% of its box office the second week?
It will be number one the week it opens. They always are. Yeah. And then it dwindles from there. And that is one of those kind of like, well, let's send the kids to this. It can't be too much. That's not going to hurt them. Let's send the kids. That's what rules all these kind of things. Because you go, who would make this? You have that kind of money to spend on a film, and this is what you're coming up with?
There's no, I did read, I think one of them came out when the writers were on strike, and
doesn't hurt us
years ago. And it doesn't. Yeah, that was basically the thing. It's like, we're just blowing things up. It really didn't matter. They just kind of went ahead and did it anyway.
They throw in a narration at a long time ago, in a century we weren't in. This is happening, and the world was coming to an end, but we had Optimus Prime, and that they throw some crap like that on it, and that's what they get people watching. Stupid.
I know. So the next movie on my list here comes out a week later. My guess is it will not make a ton of money.
Limited release.
But it's one that I want to see. Tom Hanks, Scarlett Johansson, Jeffrey Wright, Margot Robbie, Edward Norton, Tilda Swinton. Cast like that can only mean one thing.
It's Wes
Anderson.
Yeah. And it's set in 1955, so that gives you another little boost. And it's about a science fiction convention. So it's like, God, there's a lot here to pick off. A lot of things that you could. It reminds me, on first glance, of Hello Tomorrow. If you've seen that show on streaming.
Yeah.
I think it's on Apple. But it's about one of those kind of things where they're wanting to send trips to the moon. And, and how people were all in on space travel. But something happens at this convention, and it changes things. And then I don't want to spill anymore.
The only, I think, real notable thing out of that no Bill Murray. It's like the first Wes Anderson movie in 20 years or more that does not have Bill Murray. I read that he had COVID and had to be replaced by Steve Carell.
He works
So,
days. Yeah, can't make it. Let's get Steve.
yep.
Right.
So,
Well, I think it could be, that will be one that people who are kind of movie snobs will say,
yep.
"Oh, wonderful film. Loved it. It was great."
It was
Yes.
great.
Yeah, yes.
Fabulous film.
Did you notice in the third hour, it was very, very, that kind of stuff. But it's not that long.
The funny thing is I watch a lot of my movie trailers on YouTube. So then when you watch something on YouTube, you start getting recommended videos to watch after that. I started getting hit by these YouTube recommendations for these fake trailers to Wes Anderson movies where it's like Wes Anderson reimagines Star Wars, and it has like this ridiculous concept of a movie, and then like each person that's playing, like Owen Wilson is Darth Vader and Bill Murray plays uh whoever,
Those
Obi-Wan
trailers
Kenobi.
are great. And
They are hilarious.
AI is going to help them the most. So if we see
Yeah,
something like that, really blow up, it's because AI has made it easier to do.
exactly. So side note, go to YouTube, check out the trailers for the Wes Anderson Star Wars movie. There was one for I think it was Lord of the Rings, and there might have even been like a Harry Potter one too, and they look hilarious. I would pay good money to see Wes Anderson reimagine any of those films.
Michael J. for Hope for the Warriors. Started back in '06 at Camp Lejeune. Military families witnessing the effects of war on their loved ones. Now, almost 20 years later, they've aided over 53,000 service members, veterans, and families with confidential, high-quality behavioral health care services at little or no cost to post 9/11 vets and their families. Over 91% of every dollar donated goes directly to the programs. If you're as concerned about our heroes as I am, go to hopeforthewarriors.org.
We talked about this next film a little bit last week on our episode Joyride, out July 7th. Kind of a hangover type film concept, but it's starring a bunch of female actors: Ashley Park, Stephanie Hsu, Sherry Cola, Sabrina Wu. It is directed by Adele Lim, who co-wrote Crazy Rich Asians. So that looks interesting. It looks like a fun movie.
Yeah, it'll be a fun trip, a romp. And I think this is your, each, like I say, you can fit these in categories. These are the girls are going out movies. Mom wants to get out with her girlfriends. They're going to have a couple of drinks before we go to the movie. We might have dinner. We might go shopping. This is your movie.
Exactly. I guess this next one is a completely opposite direction, and it's probably going to be a huge one this summer. And it was one that I thought might have made your list.
No.
When you did your 6,
no,
but
and
but it didn't.
The reason
Okay.
it's not on that list is because it's part one. Same thing with Dune. Dune was a part one, and it drives me insane that they would split these things up. I would rather sit for 4 hours and see the whole thing than to have to wait a whole year to get the next part. What happens if you're hit by a truck in that next year and you never saw the end of it? Doesn't make sense.
So that's a good point. So Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, out July 12th. So this is supposed to be the final 2 installments of Tom Cruise's journey through Mission Impossible. First off, do you believe that? Are these really going to be the last 2?
And this was the one where he got mad at the crew and he yelled at them and said, "Come on, we've got to make this," and they thinking, well, maybe not. Maybe we don't need to make this. But we'll see what happens. I'm sure that it'll end at a very crucial point, and then we'll be ready for the next one next year. But as far as I'm concerned, it's okay. It can go without me. It is what it is. And Tom Cruise proving that he can do stunts still. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know that he can jump across a building to another building. I don't need to see him hanging out of an airplane or climbing the top of a building. I don't need any of that because I know he can do it, but why? What's the point? And besides, Mission Impossible, we used to watch this as kids. It was a TV show, and at the end of the instructions, the cassette started burning in the cassette player, and it was like, your mission, should you decide to accept it, and then we will disavow any knowledge of your existence if this goes badly. And then they send people out. One person puts a mask on, and suddenly you've got this big hoo-ha. Well, they had how many years of Mission Impossible? So if he really wanted to keep doing it, there's enough copy there that they could just pilfer.
My suspicion on this one is that they're going to continue the story. It's almost going to turn into a James Bond situation where it's going to live in perpetuity, because you can just kind of recast the role. I mean, we've been through like 6 James Bonds now, and they're still fine. I love the James Bond series, and I've always enjoyed the Mission Impossible series. So I feel like it's just going to kind of move on, and Ethan Hunt will go away. Yeah, exactly.
No, we recant somebody else.
Yep. It'll make a ton of money, 500 million, and we'll get excited, or I'll get excited. You won't, but
no,
we're all entitled to.
They had Mission Impossible, one of the earlier ones, in 4D.
Whoa.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Well, it's a 3D film, but they also have like the seats move.
Oh.
So they kind of shake you during those right times. It would have been perfect in Earthquake. Now, I know you're too young to ever have been when Earthquake was here, but it had what was called Sense-Around. And all they did was basically turn up the speakers in the theater, but you thought the theater is falling apart. Oh my God, it sounds like it's all, but it's one of those things. So this 4D is a way to kind of like, it's a ride. It's a ride.
And that's fun. Yeah, I've been to a couple things similar to that where, like the aquarium in Chicago, I think that's one of them, where you sit in your chair and you watch a movie about whales, and then the whale goes flying out of the water and then hits the ocean, and then you get sprayed in the face. Yeah. So that would be kind of fun.
And the sound too. Sound is a key thing. If the theaters were rigged for the best sound, you'd have them start on one end, and then you hear them kind of walking all around you, and you go, oh, what is this? This is kind of different. But I don't know if the average screening of Mission Impossible is going to have all that kind of detail. Just know he's going to be hanging off something.
Skipping ahead a little bit now to August 4th, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem.
Is it?
I don't know what to think about that. Yeah, it's animated. I'm not sure what to think about this. This might be just like a summer animated film to get kids out.
Do kids still like the Turtles?
I don't know.
See, I think the Turtles have had their day, and I think the Turtles would resonate more with Dad than they might with the kids, because, it is what it is.
Yeah. When I was sitting in Mario Brothers, this was another one of those trailers that aired, and I kind of got mildly excited at first, like, oh, Ninja Turtles, but then I'm thinking to myself, do I really want to see this? And I don't know. I like this one. It's either going to be a complete box office disaster, or it's going to make 200 million, and people are going to be like, oh, look at that! It just knocked off Mario Brothers as this big movie.
Well, and when they try to make them look too realistic, I think they ruin it. I think this one's going back to the real kind of hand-drawn look.
Yes. Yep.
So I think that might be in its favor. It's really weird. A number of years ago, I went on a Make-A-Wish trip to Disney World with a little boy from here. He was maybe 4 or 5. He had cancer. And his wish was he wanted to meet the Mutant Ninja Turtles. And they were at the Disney MGM Studios at the time, or whatever it's called now. I think it's called Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
And they were there doing like a stunt show, whatever. And he wanted to see the Turtles. Well, we went to this thing, and the Turtles were like greeting people, high-fiving them. It was really cool. And the little boy, who had been very ill, he was not feeling well that day, he started to come to life. He was like, oh my God, it's the Turtles. The Turtles are here. And his mother said, just wait, they're going to come over and see you. And he was so thrilled. And they came over and they hugged him and they lifted him up, and they had a moment. And his mom said, All right, ask your question. And the little boy said, he said, I don't know. And he said, no. She said, go ahead, ask that question. And the question was, will you watch over me at night because I'm afraid of cancer? And he has a poster in his room of the turtles. And they said yes. And he was so thrilled. And I swear that helped that kid through all of this kind of situation. So as much as I might badmouth the turtles, I had a moment where the turtles gave a little boy hope. And I love that. And I live with that story all the time, because you never know what kind of thing someone might say that could make your day just a little bit better.
Yeah. Wow. That's great.
So there's my turtle story.
There's your turtle story. Wow.
You'll say, Bruce, if you come with that turtle story one more time, right?
We got a couple more on this list. This next one, I'm kind of curious about this
now.
one.
These are yours. I'm not taking credit for some of these because I don't put my name on some of those bad movies. These are Terry's picks, folks.
That's right. Gran Turismo out August 11th. Now, this is kind of an interesting one. I used to play the video game when I was in
Was this
college.
A game?
Yeah, so it's another one of these, because we saw Last of Us on HBO, which was based on a video game, and that's what Gran Turismo was. It's a racing game, but it's also based on a true story for the movie of a race car driver. And it stars, or co-stars, David Harbour from Stranger Things. So I don't know what to make of this one. It's like, it might do well. It could be terrible.
Well, what do you do? What's the goal? You just drive?
You just drive. You drive and you win.
Well, how is that a story?
Well, they did Ford versus Ferrari. I mean,
but that actually had real races in it. So what's the deal?
Yes, I mean, Gran Turismo, it's listed as an upcoming American biographical coming-of-age sports drama. So it's based on reality. So
and, hey, let's go for it. This is not too far afield from Fast X, That's what that was when it first started out. Remember what they were doing? Not to recall old things, but Fast and Furious, The Fast and the Furious, Fast and Furious,
Tokyo Drift.
Tokyo Drift. Yes, all those. That must be the most work they put in on those movies, is trying to figure out what we're going to call this thing. We've already dropped the articles, so we can't use that. Are we going to add some more? The Fast of the Furious,
Really, really fast and super duper furious.
So see, Gran Turismo could take over for that.
It could.
And it could be Grander Turismo the next.
I feel like it's going to be an interesting one to just keep an eye on, because it is, on one hand, it's like based on a video game. On another hand, it's based on reality. I don't know, if up or is down or what.
As a person who does video games, when you see a film based on a video game, does it get you excited because they're kind of doing a better job of visualizing what's on a video game? Or do you feel like you want to control it?
Yeah, I don't know, because I haven't played a lot of video games since becoming a parent. And something I did when I was a kid and through college and kind of even my early marriage years. But I just, to me, video games was just an escape, and you kind of sit there. I have a brother that really liked The Last of Us because he played the video game, and he said it was pretty much, they made some changes here or there that, because the video game aspect of it wouldn't work on TV or vice versa, but he enjoyed it. And I played the original game. It was a Sony PlayStation game an eon ago, and I always enjoyed playing it with my college roommates, and we did it. But yeah, I don't I'm so far removed from it now, I don't know what to make of it.
I'm back from the days of Pong, so
Pong.
When will that be a movie? Could that be a movie somewhere?
A little paddle moving across the screen.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. Blue Beetle is another one that's coming out, and that's a superhero one.
Yeah, that was the last one on my list here. So, we are coming to the end of this episode. That's out August 18th. It's a DC Universe movie. This is on my list to not see because I have just no interest in it.
I've
But
never
what
heard
are your
of Blue
thoughts?
Beetle, and I think all it takes is a good film, and if it's done well, people will come and see it. If it's a bomb, we've seen the last of the Blue Beetle. They won't try to reboot it. There's too many other things that are hanging out there that they could do. But it's DC, so who knows? Is looking for something that's going to bring them in. I still am going with The Flash, though. The Flash is going to be their big summer thing.
Yeah. Yeah, The Flash is really the only superhero movie I'm interested in seeing this summer.
And
Blue Beetle.
And Indiana.
Yeah,
that's
a different.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, superhero. I guess comic book movie.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna go comics, that's really the Flash is the only one I have any interest in seeing.
I love Jaws and Jurassic Park. I really enjoyed those as summer films. Even all the bad iterations of Jurassic Park, I enjoyed it because it is like you are going somewhere else, and you know that when it's over, you'll get out.
Yep.
But during the moment that you're in the middle of the whole whatever, it's fun to be in that environment. And I think that's what we like about it. It's like going to a theme park. You could have a great day or you could have a really bad day, depending on what rides you get on. And with these rides are going to be pretty well engineered.
Yep.
So I think that's what we're missing from this summer's list is we need something like that. I don't think the Transformers is going to be that Jurassic Park Jaws kind of experience, that thrill. And you need to have that kind of scariness where, you're going down a hallway and you think something might be behind you, then you turn around, there's nothing there, and then you look the other direction and there it is. I think that was what's so fun about those films is they really are serials for the 21st century.
I think my takeaway on this summer is last year, Top Gun got me back into the theater, but there wasn't a whole lot else that got me back into the theater. And I actually looked at my purchase history in the app, and I went to see Top Gun, then I went to see Avatar, and now I just went to see Mario Brothers. Those are the last 3 movies I've seen since that final Star Wars movie came out in 2019, since the pandemic. And it's just been a combination of some just, things going on in life and, family things that I got to get done. So I just haven't been able to get to the theater. But I also think it speaks a little bit to the lack of really good films that I've wanted to go and see, especially since I think the one thing the pandemic did is I learned that I could just sit on my couch and watch these movies. I have a 65-inch TV. I'm sitting really close to it, so it's not a whole lot different. And I have the comforts of home, and I'm not paying $10 a ticket and $10 for a bucket of popcorn. And I could just watch these things. I'm already paying for them anyway through my streaming services.
Streaming has changed their world, and I think you need to have event programming. It's got to be really big to get you to get out of the house and go to the theater, and they can't throw it on streaming right away. They really have to hold it. That's what Top Gun did a marvelous job of holding it from that crowd for a while, so that then you had to go to the theater to see the thing. And I think more could be that way. I thought Air could have been in theaters for a long time before it went to Amazon Prime. So, who knows what it is, but I think it is a game changer, and they've got to watch that. And you have to look for the big hits. The big hits are what people will go to the movies for.
All right, sounds good. So we're going to wrap up this show. Thank you once again for listening to Streamed and Screened, and we will be back again next week.
You are getting sleepy. Your CPAP mask is clamped tightly to your face. You will not toss and turn through the whooshing. You will not throw the mask.
It's not working, Harold.
People who struggle with CPAP have partners who struggle too. Luckily, now there's Inspire. No mask, no hose, just sleep.
When I snap my fingers, you will remember to visit inspiresleep.com.
Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you and review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.